Hello, Gemini. Welcome to your September and October reading. I'm Nicholas Ashbaugh. It's good to see you. As always, this reading is going to help you navigate the next 60 days, and you can use it for sun, rising, and moon sign. Let's get straight into your channeled messages. There was a really interesting image that came through in dreams and meditation, one that I really don't think I've talked about over a decade doing all of this, and it was a mermaid. And there was this beautiful bridge over top. In fact, it reminds me of that distant bridge that we see here in the Five of Cups. And the mermaid beneath was asking, are you ready? So in this card, you see two cups right behind the main figure, but they have to deal with what's in front of them. And that's also what I was getting here, was that there might be something in the heart space that was almost anchoring it in place. And in order to cross over that threshold that the bridge represented, some healing has to be done. For each of you, the healing could be something different. It could be a disappointment in the past. It could be a breakup. It could just be protecting yourself because you're afraid of the unknown. But the main energy here was like almost to push the heart space open, to reveal and to release whatever might be there. Take a deep breath and say, why not? Why not try this? Because that Two of Cups moment that is waiting as the payoff for whatever you might have experienced here is well worth it. So the mermaid there was almost more of like a guide saying, come on, let's go. So I'm going to take a look at this 60-day spread and see where the anchors are, where the Two of Cups moments are, and maybe where you might be stuck in that limbo. And that's what the entire scene kind of reminded me of, was a pause, a plateau or a liminal space where you might be wondering either, am I ready? What should I do next? Or how did I get here? And as we look at the spread today, hopefully some of those questions will get answered for you. Overall, I see that beautiful mermaid as a very positive symbol. She's able to exist in two different spaces, and she's encouraging you that it's time to take the next step. So let's get started. Close your eyes for a moment. Let go of any thoughts that you might be bringing into this reading. Create a circle of light around your body and welcome in angels, spirit guides, and ascended masters. All right, let's get started with your catalyst. In the catalyst position, we have the beautiful ingus coming through, representing a seed or a possibility, fertility once you put some energy into developing something, and then it's all about potential. And that's what an ace is. We could see this as the culmination of like the Ace of Pentacles and the Empress, really putting 110% behind some sort of a thought, idea, or a creation. This is also, we can see the two transformational butterflies connected with moving from one stage to another, which nicely aligns with that bridge, going from one state of being to something else. And again, the heart is really the key that's going to help you get across that bridge. But if there's anything that you want to birth, create, or set into motion, this card is very much encouraging you to take that leap of faith, and it's saying now is the time. All right, if you're brand new to the 2-month layout, here's how it works. We have September energy right here to the left, October to the right, karmic energy here, the destiny or outcome here, and then 2 takeaways. This is literally the bridge, so we definitely want to spend time on that. That's what I call this card, or the connection. And this is the potential block. All right, let's get started first with the karma, and we're going to look at the 7 of Swords. So I'm quite grateful that this card came through in the reverse position. It means that if there is someone in your life that is putting on a facade, a false face, trying to get away with something, they're not going to. There's also just a little bit of a wake-up call from Spirit to be as authentic, honest, and transparent yourself as possible, because it cuts both ways. If there's something that you're trying to hide or not disclose, it's still going to come out. Better to always step into the light and be honest and lead with integrity. The other message, again, since we're looking at karma that's coming through, is don't get distracted. The reason that this person can steal away with all of the sort of swords and energy is that the person here, or the person, the wolf in the foreground is sleeping. So no one's paying attention, or you're focusing on the wrong thing. So this is a time to turn your attention to things that matter most. So message number 1 is lead with integrity. Message number 2 is don't get distracted. And if someone is acting foolishly, if they are trying to get away with something, you don't want to be complicit with that. You want to speak up and say, stop. And also ask, why are you doing this? Is it because of a misunderstanding, like I wasn't clear, or are we truly seeing a Seven of Swords moment where someone just is testing boundaries and saying, can I get away with it? Okay? Keep your eyes and ears open, be smart, lead with integrity, lean into that authentic energy, and don't accept anything less than that from others. The other thing that comes through is just a reminder when we're looking at integrity that there are a lot of different things that comprise that. Your words, your actions, and your company. The people that you surround yourself with, if at some point their actions are no longer in alignment with who you are, what you believe in, etc., this is a time where you might have to create better boundaries. Because to ignore bad behavior is to sometimes be complicit in it. And if you can't change the person, or if you don't want to have that conversation, it might be better to separate yourself, because that also is a distraction from what it is that you should be focusing on. And when we looked at the rune this month, we want to plant a seed of intention. We want to put our energy into things that are fertile and also return on the energy, focusing on potential. If there's someone or something that isn't in alignment with that, then it's basically just taking you off your chosen path and your destined path as well, okay? Really powerful energy in the karma there. Let's see what's coming through in the past. So in the sort of 2-month spread, we're looking at September. We'll start off with the energy of past influences. And we have actually a very nice card that came through, the Seven of Cups. In the upright position, the Seven of Cups represents possibilities. The energy associated this, or the activity associated with this would be like brainstorming, putting things up on a vision board, sketching it out, asking yourself, what about this? What about that? And it's a very fun and rich kind of card in that perspective. In fact, if we look at the traditional illustration, you really get a feel for that. You're embracing the blue sky. You're saying, let's see what comes through. When the card is reversed, it is also just a little bit of a nudge from the universe to not kind of put too wide of a net out there so that you're focusing on every possible thing. Go towards the top 2 or 3 sort of ideas that resonate. Put your energy there first. This can also represent instructions or communication that are either purposely ambiguous or just confusing. So this person is trying to read through it or listen through it, but like there's no thread of common sense. So what they need to do is speak up and say, wait a second, there's a lot to process here. What should be my priority? I think it should be this, but you said this and it seems to conflict. What do you want? Could you repeat that? So repetition, asking questions for clarity, and maybe just cutting through it and saying, this is what I need. I'm hearing all of this, but I really need to understand this to begin. Speak up and cut through the nonsense. The last thing is more of a call to action for you. So if there's a lack of clarity of what it is that you want, then manifestation becomes harder. The universe is looking at it like this, like, I don't know, maybe they want this, maybe they want that. It's far more empowered to have that one choice, that one seed of intent. All of this basically allows the universe to be your best ally, your wing person, and say, hey, we can do this faster because you know what you want. I don't have to try to figure it out. So take some time, meditate, and if it helps you to write down or sketch out what your vision is, this is absolutely the kind of activity that you should be kicking off the month of September with. All right, let's move from the past to the present. We have the Ace of Swords coming through, and it helps clear things up. It's absolutely connected to this because this was all about a seed of intention, and aces represent seeds and potential. And it also helps us get through the Seven of Swords because, again, we're looking at present energy. Seven of Swords is sometimes a little white lie or a promise that is unkept. And a Seven of Swords moment isn't always bad, or intentionally bad, I should say. Sometimes it just comes because you want to make people happy. So you agree to meeting or doing something, and you know that you don't have the time, the energy, or even the inclination to do so. So if you make a promise, keep it, and if you don't want to do it, say no. Things can happen faster than you think, especially if you communicate them. The Ace of Swords isn't just about typing it or writing it out. It can also be just a verbal conversation, picking up the phone. But the minute you kind of say something, you might notice that there is rapid action, almost to the point that you are wondering, how did this happen so quickly? But in a positive way. So I encourage you to get the clarity of vision, to put things down in writing or sketch them out, however you work well with kind of manifesting and envisioning things, and then say it. Say, I'm ready. Say it to yourself, say it to the universe, and then reach out to the person or the organization where you're trying to make something happen. Your voice matters, and we can see a lot of action taking place. This is also why it's important for those previous 2 7 cards, the 7 of Swords and 7 of Cups, to happen in that order. Integrity and clarity will help speed up the sort of manifestation of your thought, your dream. And again, we're going to take it back to the catalyst. This is reminding us that there are 2 things to focus on: the intention and your attention. So basically what you want to do and how much energy you put into doing it. And if you're willing to put that follow through, great progress can be made. Now is the time to speak up. Now is the time to take action. Okay? You might also be seeing a signature on the bottom line if you're ready. This is all portending good things. All right, let's take a look at what's coming through in the future. We have the 5 of Cups, perfectly connected to what I had to say. I forgot about this because it's a slightly different illustration, but let's talk about it. So in the future position, this is where I saw the mermaid, and just to kind of give you the traditional one to compare it to, there's normally a little bridge there in the background. This person, however, is focusing on the 2 cups. They've already gotten to that point that they're saying, I'm ready for something new. And I mentioned that love and relationships were coming through, and that's not always what I see with the 5 of Cups. It's always there, but sometimes the person is focusing on this particular illustration. They've decided to go for friendship, connection, partnership. The next step would be to cross that bridge and see what else is coming forth. A shift of attention, a shift of direction, and a shift in the way that you process something, saying, you know what, I can actually see the silver lining on this. That can create a significant paradigm shift for you. So this could be the other potential block. We have a few, but there's a lot of great stuff that wants to come through. So being honest, working with integrity, and removing people in your circle that don't have that quality. Being clear, cutting through confusion, taking action on things, and focusing on the silver lining. All of these things can help you, as we take a look at this takeaway, create a significant shift, a tower moment. Towers can be good. A birth of a child, a wedding, deciding to retire, deciding to move from one place to another. They are significant constructions and reconstructions in your life, and sometimes they're completely of your own will. Sometimes they're not. So this represents the choice. Do you want to make the change, or are you waiting for the universe to make the change for you? To that end, I feel like some of you already know what's on the other side of the bridge. The mermaid that I saw in my vision is just encouraging you, saying, what is it in your heart that is keeping you still when maybe it is a tower that you're leaving behind? Let that all go. It's already crumbling. That's actually the freedom. If you need to walk away from a tower, it is absolutely the right time. In fact, this card usually comes through when you've waited too long. And what we can see here as potential towers could be someone that you don't trust, or a relationship where the person isn't coming through on their promises. There could be something where you're constantly wondering, what if I try this? Why can't I be somewhere else? Your basically focus is somewhere that isn't where you're at. And so this month it's about shifting and saying, I'm going to do it. I'm going to cross the bridge. I'm going to give this a shot. And we got that same image that I was talking about in the channeled portion coming through for the future position. And like I said, it can be a very positive situation if you take control and say, I'm going to be the agent of change. I'm going to make this move. And we have some good stuff here in the center, so let's get to it. Now we're going to move to the ever important connection card, which functions as a bridge. So here's your challenge. Even though it's in the focal point, it's just overthinking. You already know. So the bridge, and if we were to look at the King of Wands in the upright position, would just say, trust your insight, trust your vision, trust your heart. When you don't listen to those 3 things, that's when stuff gets messy. So know yourself, know your goal, and know enough to just go for it when the time is right, when the window of opportunity has presented itself. You may have to defend your choice. Know that you can. This is second only to Emperor and Empress energy. So it's a very good boss card. It's a very good leadership card. And it has the capacity to put a line in the sand and say, this is what I stand for. This is who I am. Take me or leave me. So there may be something where you have to do just that between these 2 months even. There's a lot coming through intuitively, intellectually, and it can be a little bit hard to process it. That's why you got the instruction as we were looking at September to write it down or to record it or to somehow communicate it. But just speaking it out loud, just talking to someone can be the first step in creating that traction, okay? And do you feel it? Here's the big thing. If your heart is in it, if you're really feeling the passion, it will move forward. If you don't, it's time. It's time to move in a new direction. What's going to potentially block you? Not much, actually. We have the star card here. Maybe just the fear of success or being seen. So with the star card, it's absolutely one of the most visible and present cards. And sometimes that attention, that sort of stepping into the spotlight can create a sense of discomfort for some. You have built yourself up to this moment to open this door, so don't let this hold you back. Now is the time to lean into your true self. Don't dim your light, don't mute your voice, and as long as you do that, I think you'll be all right. The star card does hold 2 chalices. Much like the temperance angel, it's trying to find a better balance in its life. And so know that it's okay for you to be happy. You do not have to be the sort of universal maternal energy for everyone around you. Soak it up, drink it in, take a moment. This is the time to shine. The only thing that you don't want to get distracted by is the shining lights. So sometimes this combined with that can remind you that all that glitters isn't gold. So if someone tries to distract you or hide something, like looking at a contract in particular, saying, well, you're going to make this money, you're going to get this title, but look at all the stuff you have to give away. X amount of free time, maybe intellectual property, a bunch of things that you hadn't intended on. You really want to make sure that this makes sense. And it goes back to just making sure that you're committing to things that give you the freedom that you need and also that you're most passionate about, okay? But overall, these 2 cards are good, and it's almost like they were flipped a little bit. You're overthinking something, and what I see on the other side is bright, and it's very much like what the mermaid showed me. It's your heart or your fears or your emotions that are creating the more significant block. All right, now we're going to go to the second month, to October, and let's focus on what's coming through as a past influence. So we have the Hermit energy coming through first. I like that this came through in the past influence. It means that you've done the work. So by the time we get to October, it looks like a lot of the challenges from September have been resolved. And this is a card of wisdom, experience, and education. If you're thinking of going to school, taking a new class, learning something new, this is perfectly aligned with all of that. It also reminds you that you might have to be the light in the dark. So there may be people around you that don't know what to do or aren't showing up the way that they need to, because we saw the 7 of Swords. So in this moment, you have to be that person of light, integrity, and wisdom. Everything that we did up to this point, or everything that we talked about, has prepared you for this. It's okay at the beginning of October to maybe spend a little bit more time inward, maybe not going out as much, maybe not putting as much energy into activities. That's fine. Take the time to recharge, take the time to ignite that inner flame, and that is going to take you the distance as we go through the rest of this month. All right, we have 9 of Pentacles coming through here in the present position, and it reminds you that not only might things happen faster than you think, but there might be a hidden resource. When I'm looking at that little squirrel on this card, I think about what squirrels do before the fall. They hide all of their sort of acorns, but sometimes they forget where they're at. So there is a nudge from the universe to look around, make sure that you have accounted for all of the work that you've intended to do and all the resources that you've possibly filed away. There might be an easier way when you look at all of that. There's also an encouragement to take your time. So my favorite little totem at the bottom there, the snail, is saying, slow, steady, this wins the race, and it's also better for you to do it right on the first attempt. Take your time. This is a fruitful card, very nicely connected to this. Literally, we have the word fertility or fruitful here. And so this is saying that by the time we get to the middle of October, doors are opening up, opportunities are availing themselves, resources might be easier to get. You can't rush to this point, though. It takes some time. And if you're not seeing it immediately, look at all the grapes on the vine. They take a while to get ripe. You don't want to harvest them before they are. So if there is something that you are creating, know when it's done. Don't do it before, and don't hold on to it too long. You'll know when it's time to release and to birth it. And again, going back to Inguz, this is really what it was all about. So I like what I see here, and it does feel like you are starting to turn the tide around October, which is good. Now, for those of you that watch my channel, you know that the Five of Swords and the Seven of Swords are cousins, basically, or they're siblings when we're looking at a spread. And typically they're tied together with either like the moon or the devil. So let's talk about this. Again, this is in the future position. We have the Five of Swords also reversed, which is good. It's basically saying you're not going to waste your time arguing with someone that you shouldn't. You're not going to waste time on any intrusive thoughts. And the intrusive thoughts would be something like this. You're not good enough. You're not ready enough. You're not beautiful enough. You're not something enough. That's just a fear. That's just a program that was thrown in there by someone else. Now you're going to release it. Now, in everyday life, the Five of Swords is someone who just is not ready to receive feedback or have a conversation. Maybe just doesn't want to take accountability. And to be honest, they're not worth the bandwidth, the airtime, the breath in your lungs to have the conversation. They've already got one foot out the door. So be very mindful of that. And if there is anyone or anything around you that kind of resonates with that Five of Swords energy, this is the second big thing that you really need to separate yourself from. So we had the Seven of Swords, which was lack of honesty, and this is like a lack of accountability. We need to make sure that those things are addressed, whether it's within or external. You owe it to yourself to just separate from those kinds of thoughts and, again, people and activities. Before we get into destiny, let's take a look at the takeaway for the month of October, and it's pretty good. Knights represent quick movement, and we have the wands here, ideas. So basically, the Knight of Wands is bringing additional movement and finalization, or even just sort of like fruitful thoughts. So it's easier to conceptualize, it's easier to communicate, and it's also easier to get buy-in from others because they're seeing the big picture. It's kind of the antithesis of everything that we were talking about a month ago. So that's why it's so important for you to get clear. Now, by the end of October, or any time really in the middle, you have the time here and you have the skills to create and to connect and to inspire others because you've done the work. There might be some travel and also just, again, quick movement on ideas. Quicker than you were ready for, quicker than you thought possible. Embrace it nonetheless. It's really happening, okay? Let's go ahead now and take a look at destiny. What's this all about, this entire spread that we've been looking up? So we have the Page of Pentacles. Love this. This also is nicely connected to what we talked about here. Some sort of a seed of intention coming through, and coming through in a really big way. What I like about the Page is he's willing to do his share. He's picking up that pentacle and saying, I'm invested, I'm going to work hard, I'm going to ask for what it is that I need, and I'm going to make sure that I do what I say I'm going to do. So reciprocity is the big takeaway here, but also you are deserving, and I hope you're ready to receive, because that's really what we see here. Pages also get the facts together. So let's say you're trying to get an investor, you're trying to get a signature, you're trying to get an agreement. The way to make it happen is through facts and figures, and really making sure that other people can see how this is going to pay off. And there are good payoff cards, as we talked about with that Nine of Pentacles. You have a good chance of getting most of what you want with this one. A little bit of compromise might be needed. It might take a little bit longer than you think, but it will be worth it in the long run. All right, before we move on to the expanded forecast, let's say hello to Apollo. Hey, buddy. Who's a good boy? Thank you. All right, now we can take a look at the expanded forecast where we go into the areas of health, wealth, and love. Let's give the cards a shuffle and see what's in store. Health, wealth, and love. All right, health represents mind, body, and spirit, and we have temperance in the reverse position. Slow down. That's the first message. Be more present and really give things a moment to sink in. This is especially true if you're just getting ready to make a major decision or if you've just made one. Sometimes you have to let the dust settle. And too often we are impatient and expect immediate results. In the area of health, it takes time for the body to build up strength or recover or adjust to something new. So easy does it. And when we're looking at the 2 cups there in front of the temperance angel, this also represents making sure that all the different parts of your life are being properly balanced, that you're not giving too much of yourself to others. All right, so it's a powerful first card to come through. I also associate the temperance angel with listening to your instincts, listening to your body, and making sure that nothing is being ignored. Okay, taking a look at the energy of September, this is when some of you might be going through that major change or shift. The Tower usually shows that even if you saw it coming, it can still feel intense as you go through it. And give yourself time. So that's the first thing. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with your doctors. The 7 of Swords is sometimes that voice in our head that says, no one's going to really notice, or I don't have to change this, or I can get away with this. Keep yourself accountable. Talk to someone if you need some assistance, whether it's a coach or a therapist. Sometimes we need that extra voice or that extra hand holding our hand saying, come on, you can do better. This is about mental cognition and clarity. You might just be having a difficult time focusing. This can be like noise, arguments, construction. Something in the environment could be making it difficult to focus. But if it goes beyond that, obviously you want to talk to your doctor as well. All right. The 5 of Cups, as I said earlier, can be grief. And there could have been something that happened really quickly. Loss of a job, breakup, divorce, loss of someone that you love. And that takes a moment or two to get through. And I've said this many times, but there's no magic number that you can put on how long you should be grieving or dealing with something. But you don't have to do it alone. And that was one thing that we saw here with the, where was it? The 5 of Cups even here. It's the 2 cups outstretched. It's basically saying love, friendship, camaraderie, support. That's what can get you through to all this beautiful stuff that we see on the other side. Okay? Disorganization and difficulty in starting things or sticking with things, that's the main challenge that I see. But on the flip side, if you want to make a change and you're ready, like you're honest with yourself, you're clear on your goals, the Ace and the Tower work together in such a way that you could make a substantial and worthwhile change. As we look at October, for some of you, there is just this desire to pull back. Too many people, too many activities. The Hermit's coming through and saying it's okay. It also feels like many of you are throwing yourself a little bit more into work-oriented things. So because we were looking at the balance component of temperance, make sure that you're not working too hard. Everything in moderation is the key. Just a lot of energy around being kind to yourself and being honest with yourself. The 5 of Swords can sometimes be that critical voice from others or from yourself. If there's not a constructive element, it's just critical or just criticism, and we don't need or want that. And overall, take care of yourself. This divine feminine energy that came through in the catalyst position is saying, this is a moment to really be with yourself, to really love yourself. By the way, if you're noticing this is a water deity. We have the 2 cups here, the 2 cups here, and the 2 cups here. I said this earlier, different types of relationships are going to play an important part. Some are going to be growing. Some are going to be contracting. And from some, you might just want to move on. Give yourself time to sort out each of those and decide what's worth your time in the next chapter. Okay? Let's move on from health to wealth. This is going to be resources, life purpose, and career. Once again, we have a relationship energy coming through. It's who you know, not necessarily just what you know. There also might be something worth celebrating, a promotion, a raise, a new opportunity. This is also a reminder that the networks that you make now, the people that you know and continue to build relationships with now, can absolutely help you in the long run. So students, make sure that you're doing internships, that you're making new connections with people. Even in existing working circles, it's good to go to those sort of parties and mixers because if the job does stop, if you decide to move somewhere else, you'll have the network to lean into. Okay, let's break this down into 5 categories, beginning with those of you that are currently employed. If you're currently employed, the most sort of trepidatious or challenging period is going to be September. Here's what I see. For some of you that are in a larger company, there could be a sort of merger, restructuring, reorganization. There can also just be some chaos because leadership isn't ideal. One thing that I'm seeing here is that someone that you're working with, or even again, someone that's leading the group, may not be following through on promises. The vision could be clouded a little bit. The instructions may not be super clear. And as a result, there's some chaos. Ask those questions, which we talked about. Take the lead with integrity, cut through some of the nonsense, and make sure that you have your bases covered. Email chains or everything. Make sure there's a paper trail as well that you can lean on if you need it, okay? Here's the benefits of this period of time. Some people are distracted in doing their own thing. You could actually emerge as someone who has a clear vision, a clear voice, and you could cut through some of this nonsense. And that's leading to that Star and King of Wands moment somewhere between September and October. Don't be afraid to be strong and to speak up, okay? What you want to avoid in September in particular is gossip and trying to get away with something. And also, if there's someone else that's doing something that's wrong, call it out. Make sure that you're not a part of that. At the very least, kind of create a strong boundary so you don't get wrapped in, okay? I do think that there's a lack of clarity, either from leadership or just in general, so ask those questions. Moving on to October, much better. Everything seems to clear. What I'm looking at specifically is a little bit more independent work, a chance to grow resources, and maybe even to get some additional support. There's still a little bit of insecurity and maybe even a lack of listening skills when it comes to some of the people around you. They have a hard time listening and following through, so be mindful of that. That's the one challenge over this two-month period. But what I really like when we look at October is Knight of Wands, Page of Pentacles, a chance for your vision to go to the next level, and a chance that if you're willing to ask for something or at least carry through on your own goals and visions, there's a reward waiting here. One of the reasons it's really important to focus and not be afraid to speak up is we did see that Star energy coming through. And even though it came through as a block, I feel like it's reading more as fear. I think you can emerge, again, as a voice of reason, as a person that can sort through some of the chaos or disorganization. And in the long run, this is going to set you into that Star energy as someone that people can trust. And again, it's a little bit of the hermit too, leading that sort of dark or lack of vision, chaotic energy around you into a place of organization, consistency, and cohesion. That's where your power is. One other thing, I already highlighted it, but you do want to avoid gossip, particularly with the Seven of Swords and the Three of Cups both connected here. It just shows that word is going to travel, and you really want to make sure that you're on the right side of a conversation if that happens, okay? Let's move on from those that are employed to entrepreneurs. If you own your own company or business, here's what I see. There is an opportunity to work smarter in September. This can be a restructuring by your own sort of choice. One thing that you want to be mindful of is how are you marketing or portraying your business? The Seven of Cups could be a little bit difficult for people to parse or understand, so there might be a chance to clarify goals and sort of mission statements and things of that nature. Even the branding could be perhaps like tightened up a little bit as far as like logo and online presence, all of that. If there are any customers that are unhappy, deal with that sooner than later because that could end up being more of a problem if you don't. Same thing with morale. The Seven of Swords and the Three of Cups can be complaining, gossiping, or communication that needs to be addressed sooner than later. More likely what's happening for some of you is just the understanding that some changes need to be happening. And this is that inner voice, both of these, like, it's going to take more work than you think. No one's going to notice. Listen to yourself. Make the changes. And particularly when it comes to not overextending yourself. Less is more here, okay? If you need to get a signature on the dotted line, it's very auspicious that we have the Ace of Swords. If you need to restructure your company, this is a great time to set things into motion. I love the energy of October, much better for entrepreneurs. We see more resources coming in. There could be a loan, there could be a new customer, just some additional interest, and we see things moving in the right direction. The Hermit here also sets you apart as like a thought leader, someone that has great insights to bring to the equation. So show the experience, show the good customer feedback, because that can also be this. Make sure it's being bubbled up whenever possible. Ultimately, I see like 3 great cards of leadership and money coming through here. So October should be much, much more fruitful and much more aligned to this particular energy that we saw with the catalyst. It is important during this period to decide what it is that you want to focus your time and energy on. And if we were to look here again at the bridge between the 2 months, it is a question of leadership. So for some of you, people are wanting you to step perhaps more into the spotlight, or they need a clearer vision. And so this is the time to get clearer on that vision. All right, let's go to job seekers. The clear winner of the 2 months is October. What I see happening in September could be some changes in the financial market. There could be more people vying for the same job, so you just have a more difficult time landing an interview or a phone call. One thing that you can do on your resume in particular, or in your application process, is to make sure that you maybe work with someone that can help you fine tune it. I know nowadays a lot of things are parsed electronically, so you have like AI and, sort of just almost like a software system going through your resume. So make sure that you're putting the right keywords in there that's worth the time. Be honest with yourself in what you want, and also in how you're sort of marketing yourself, because there's no advantage to saying you want to do something that you don't, or that you can do something that you can't really do. Make sure also the same is true of the places that you're applying to. Make sure that they are honest and have integrity. Read the online sort of reviews and experiences of employees there. This is really more of a time to kind of like get organized and get clear. You might land one thing. I'm only really seeing like one thing come through, and I'm honest when I see that, because it seems like a lot of the places that you're looking at are either in the process of reorganization, they're a little bit disorganized, or there's just a lack of follow through. And maybe they just aren't clear enough to say, you're not what we're looking for. They'll say, oh, we'll get back to you, when they really mean we're moving on, okay? So no news actually is news, and it's encouragement to move in a different direction. For some of you, there's also just this wake-up call, a chance to say, you know what? Maybe I want to try something completely different. And the star is stepping into something bolder, something more authentic to your vision. Because if you have a chance to change your trajectory, it feels like a good time to do so. More autonomy, more power to step into it. These are 3 power cards in a row. So it feels like the next job needs to be one where you are taken seriously. It doesn't have to just be about the title, but at least people are listening to you and respecting you. I see many more opportunities coming through in October. At least 2, actually, really solid ones. There does seem to be maybe it's just a lack of decorum in the application process, because 5 of Swords is someone who may even come across as curt. They're not listening to you during the interview. And as I said earlier, in the previous month, this is someone who's not really giving you valid feedback on if they're ready to move forward. Take those as clear indicators from the universe that those 2 are not the ones. The one that really comes through loud and clear in October, we have a Page of Pentacles, so there could be a role that requires a lot of communication. It's a numbers and data-oriented job, but I see growth, and I see a lot of movement with that. So if you're willing to do that, kind of like focus a little bit more on the production or rolling up your sleeves, that could be lucrative in the long run. There's also a more creative job here as well. This one's really fast-paced, so there may be longer hours. They may not be honest at the get-go about that, but both of these have growth potential, okay? One is a little bit more data-driven or detail-oriented, and one of them it's fast-moving, fast-paced, and I also get like overtime or weekends with that one. It's really hard to pin anything down in September. I think it's like a moving target. You might be able to get the first interview, but it feels like it's going to take a couple weeks, and it might take until October for it to actually come to pass. That's what's nice about seeing 2 months at a time, especially, again, we're looking at job seekers. For those of you that are looking, it gives you a little bit clearer perspective on when and where. All right, moving on to students. Here's what I see. It's a little chaotic in September. For many of you, it's really important to get a routine and a schedule that you can stick to. Focus and concentration. Some of you might be living in a dormitory situation, even in a home or an apartment where there's just a lot of distraction and noise. Get those headphones. Find a place where you can go. Noise-canceling headphones are your best friend. and try to sort of like create this space where you can focus and really try to create boundaries and say, I need an hour. Let me finish what I'm doing and then I can help you. A lot of sort of discipline is necessary, but particularly in September. When it comes to any sort of projects or activities, again, come through on what you say you're going to do. Make sure others are doing the same. You don't have to carry the load if they're not doing that, okay? I much prefer what I'm seeing in October. What I see coming through here is you're soaking in everything with the Hermit card. You're making a lot of progress, and it just feels like things are a lot easier. You're going to get what you're putting into it. This is the month for recalibration. So September, recalibrate. October, just bring it to the finish line, okay? Some of you might also be looking at the next big thing. So if you're getting close to graduation, maybe you're looking at where you want to apply or what the next internship is. If you're going to school, you're maybe looking at this more strategically, like where do I want to end up afterwards, which is a really good thing. We don't always look at that, and trying to, like, from the very beginning, set everything up. So this card is so strategic. I really want you to lean into that. All right, finally, retirees, what's going on with you? You might be moving. Some of you, downsizing. Also, what I'm seeing for some of you is this, it's a question. We asked this earlier. Now what? If you lost someone that you love, or if you just stepped out of a big chapter, there is this discombobulated feeling of like, where am I? What's next? The good news is you will land on your feet. Take your time. Focus on the on this networking energy that came through with the Three of Cups. Nurture yourself, and then maybe step into something that's really passionate for you, spiritually enlightening, creatively inviting. This is really where it is. And then I love what I see in October. It feels like some of you are bookworms. You're just going to lose yourself in a project or a new sort of course or something like that. But for the rest of you, you're going to find your focal point, and it's going to bring you a sense of sort of like purpose and clarity. Definitely a great month for travel, October, for those of you that are retired. Okay, let's move on to the final category. We're going to look at relationships, and we're going to start off with those of you that are in a partnership, but I almost forgot to talk about this. We have the High Priestess coming through. Know yourself, first and foremost. The honesty and integrity piece kind of go hand in hand with the High Priestess. Know yourself, be yourself, lean into that, but also trust then in what you're seeing in others, even when it's something that you don't want to see, because we did get a couple of those cards with the 5 and the 7 of Swords. So if someone shows a quality that you wish you could unsee, it's so much better to know it's there than to ignore it, because now you know how to navigate it. Now you know if you even want to navigate it, okay? This card is unique in that we see a little baby here. So you might be manifesting something. It could be pregnancy or a child, but it could also be calling in a partnership, and we'll look at that here in just a few moments. Okay, let's start off with those that are already partnered. So right off the bat, the universe is coming through and it's saying your partner kind of already knows. Whatever it is that you want to talk to your partner or your loved one about, they know. It's better to come through and own the truth or own the conversation. This is the hesitancy in being authentic, but this is the payoff here, like love and support. And I maybe in the past, one or both of you had a hard time listening. I think it's shifting now. But if it isn't, let that be the marker that it's kind of time. It's time to address that. And if it doesn't change, maybe move in a different direction or seek some outside assistance, because sometimes you can benefit from therapy, right? All right, just taking it on a month-by-month basis. September. Know that whatever it is that you want to hide, it's going to come out anyway, so talk about it. I feel like your partner's thinking about you a lot. You're thinking about them, but there's questions. Like, I think anything that you can do to come across to clarify will be good, but also let them know, I love you, I'm thinking about you, I appreciate that. Here's something that, because I love you, that I want to talk about. Set it up so that they're your, you're reinforcing that they're your friend and your lover, and that you're trying to bridge any sort of miscommunications or gaps. I think some of you might just be coping with a familial loss. Maybe it's like we have this King of Wands here. It could be a patriarch or matriarch figure. And this is when the relationship can grow stronger. You don't want to lean into this 7 of Swords or 5 of Swords energy, because that's not listening and that's saying things that might be hurtful. So we want to go beyond that. And just to give you like the slight nuance, I think I talked about it before. This can be saying you're going to do something, but you don't. And this is not taking responsibility for something that went wrong, not listening to others, or just arguing for the sake of arguing. Neither of these energies are good, so we want to avoid them and instead lean into listening, being affirmative and positive, and if there is anything that's critical, being constructive as well. What's good right now? Well, I feel like both of you are making some strides in your own life and personal development. Finance starts to take a stronger foothold in October. If you just move or if there's a lot of traveling, September's the month where it's just difficult to kind of like be at the same place at the same time. I see much more improvement in October. There definitely is an opportunity for pregnancy for some of you because we have a fertility symbol here and also here. So if you're trying to get pregnant, great. If you're not, be careful. Aside from that, this Hermit card, this is interesting. I'm getting like, be a partner, not a teacher. So if something isn't working out, don't say I told you so. Ask them what kind of support, how you can best support them. Say, do you need some advice? Do you just need me to be here? What do you want? That way you can shine a light on the situation in the way that they need. But I'm getting a feeling like they already kind of know and they don't want to be told. And that's okay. So you can just say, well, I'm here to help. Do you want me to help you find someone to talk to? Whatever. It's always better to ask than just to kind of step into that, okay? But overall, I'm liking what I'm seeing aside from these two cards. The communication has to be super clear. Let's move on to single and looking. So there is a chance to meet somebody in September, but schedules are a little bit chaotic. It may be difficult to kind of make this grow in this particular time period because what I'm seeing here is inconsistency in your schedule. I see a lot of thoughts that are going everywhere and a little bit of healing that needs to be done. Back to the very beginning where I said the heart needs to heal, especially for single and looking. This card in particular is the universe saying, what exactly are you looking for in a partner? Because this is casting way too wide of a net, and it's really important to kind of get clearer, like the top 3 things when it comes to manifesting. Now, the interesting thing, and I kind of read this in an unexpected way, love could come in fast and furious. The Tower card in September could represent head over heels, because that's what's going on here. It could be really passionate, but it may not have like the ability to sort of like go the distance. So be mindful of that and take your time, all right? Single and looking, I feel like it's the very end of September and the beginning of October where things start to settle a bit. And then we have one of the best cards for partnership, the Star. It's connected to a fire sign here. So the end of the month, beginning of next month, we're starting to see some magic come in. And then all of October looks great. And then you also have a couple of other partner opportunities. This is why the 7 of Cups. When we have more than one, maybe even more than 2, it shows such a wide net that it might be difficult. You should be able to, at the get-go, know, like, I feel a connection with you. If you don't feel it on the first date, it's probably not going to come through. The High Priestess knows. Also, there may be a child already in the picture, or a desire for a child, or a desire for a big family. So talk about what it is that you're looking for if that's important, okay? So at the very least, you can sort out what it is that you're looking for. The fire sign moves quickly. Things could get serious fast. That's another thing that I'm picking up on, okay? All right, for those that are single and happy, good for you. What I see right now is a chance to really focus. You're the one little subsection here that I think can get a lot done. September still may be a month where you're deciding to do a little bit of redecorating or reorganizing of your own life. But you hit a sweet spot towards the end, and what I see here coming through, particularly in October, is an ability to launch something. So this is the seed, this is the result, and we also see the sort of payoff here in the form of Page of Pentacles, Knight of Wands, and 9 of Pentacles. So a lot of abundance, a lot of positive movement coming through, provided that you keep doing the work. So personal development, career development, learning something new, spiritual development, of course, because we have High Priestess and Star energy. And the only things to sort of be mindful of here, making sure that if there's any sort of mess in your life, whether it's financial, emotional, or literally around you, that you do the cleaning up of that mess in September so that the rest of this period can really be free of that anchor. And that definitely is one of the anchors here. Okay? And that pretty much takes us to the end of the regular portion of this reading. Now we're going to do one more question, one final card, anything that you still need some clarity on. Go ahead and ask that to your guides, and let's go ahead and see what they have to say. Queen of Wands in reverse, we have a divine partnership coming through. Let's talk about it. So as a yes or no, this is a yes, but there are some caveats. So in the upright position, this is innovation, this is open-minded, this is a great leadership card, but when it's reversed, it can be too rigid, expecting something to happen at a certain place at a certain time in a certain shape, etc. Be open to something different. Just like we were looking at with the Five of Cups, you can focus on what isn't working, like the 3 on the ground or the 2 that are in front of you. Partnerships are so important during this period. You don't have to know it all. You can ask someone. You can lean on someone else. There is a lot of bossiness or sort of like ownership that comes with this, and sharing some of the duties, letting go a little bit could be very helpful. I do like one aspect of the stubborn piece, which is if you really know what you want or don't want, articulate it, embody it, and don't let anybody push you away. This is a card that leads, it doesn't follow, so there is an encouragement in this period of time to lead, not follow. And we now have a divine partnership coming through. 2 very like-minded individuals, 2 sides of the same coin. There could be fire sign energy for sure that's coming through to help you navigate this period. But the fact that it's so similar means that there's a little bit of friction, and there's room for 2 stars. So now the block makes sense. You both are stars, you both are strong, so take your time to create that sort of dance like we would see in a binary star system. Okay? That's everything for today. It was a wonderful reading, and I think that you have a lot of potential here. Again, the trickier energy being the first 2 or 3 weeks of September, so pace yourself, take your time, clean up those messes so that as we get into October, you can lean into all of the sort of like potential growth and movement that wants to come through. I think it's going to be a fruitful period of time, and I'd love for you to keep me posted in the comments below. That's actually a great segue. If you enjoyed this, hit the thumbs up. Opt into notifications, and over the course of these 2 months, check back. Let me know what's working for you, where your challenges are. I read every comment, and I love to see how it resonates. This is also a great time to follow me on social media. It's always my full name, no extra characters, no misspellings, Nicholas Ashbaugh, on all the major platforms that you see here. On Blue Sky, it's my website address, nicholasashbaugh.com. So you can also go to my official website if you need those links. They're also here on YouTube on the main channel page. For those of you that would like to give back, you can do so with a sticker below in your comment, or you can also become a channel member. You can look below for all of that, and I just want to say thank you in advance. Let's see. We're going to give Apollo one last pat on the head, and then there he is right behind us, and then I'm going to wrap up for today. Hey, buddy. He's a good boy. All right, guys, thank you so much. I appreciate your love, your support. Wouldn't be here without it. Wishing you all the best now and always. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.